Charlie Angus, first of all, thanks for taking time to speak with me in what is a very busy weekend. I appreciate you taking the time.
Well, thank you so much for having me on the show again.
What will you say to the party members in your final pitch at the showcase?
Well, what I've heard across the country over the last 9 months is that people don't believe Ottawa reflects their reality. They want the New Democrats in the House this fall fighting on issues that matter to them, growing issues of economic, the precarious nature of precarious work, the issues of pension crisis that we're facing in so many sectors, and the issue of crushing levels of student debt. So they want a party that is determined and ready to hit the ground running. But the other fundamental issue that's come up again and again and has really driven my campaign is our grassroots. They want to be part of our movement. They don't want to be just getting emails being hit up for cash once in a while. A social democratic movement has to be democratic at its base, and I think that that's driven a lot of the support for my teams on the ground, is our willingness to get out and talk and to build teams engaging people on what issues matter to them.
I mean, the thing that New Democrats want clearly is a return to, if they can get it, is a return to the orange wave that we saw under Jack Layton. Yeah. Why do you think you're the leader that can give them that?
We had an enormous opportunity in 2011, particularly in Quebec, because Jack was out on the ground building those teams. We became, I think, overconfident. We had this belief that somehow it was our time and we would just form government. Well, the lessons New Democrats need to learn, it's only going to be our time when we make it our time. And for rebuilding the party to be ready for a government, we need to be able to show in the House that we are fighting on their issues. We need to be out in the field. And I've done the work across the country over the last many years, building those relationships. I'm very strong talking with people in Alberta as I am in British Columbia. Certainly as leader, then the next big priority will be moving into Quebec, because we have enormous opportunity there, and I'm putting together a very good team on the ground, and we are going to have an approach of being hands-on, on the ground, making things move.
All right, let's talk about Quebec. You've raised it. We've seen, the big numbers in Quebec drop down to 16 members of Parliament there now. Liberals have taken over a lot of what the NDP had last time in the province of Quebec. There's some concerns around what your position is, for instance, on Quebec's right to invoke protections for their secular society. Bill 62 that prevents anyone from wearing face coverings, as you know, for offering government services or receiving government services. Some people are concerned you haven't been clear enough on saying Quebec has the right to do that, and if you don't believe that, that might cause some problems for the Democrats in Quebec.
Well, I actually been sort of surprised at all the speculation about a bill that's under the jurisdiction of Quebec. We're talking about a discussion that's happened in Quebec about delivery of services by the Quebec government to the Quebec citizens in a Quebec jurisdiction. That's pretty straightforward in Canada. Who has the jurisdiction there? If people have complaints about it, those are complaints by Quebec citizens. And the other thing that's really clear to me, Quebec has a strong, strong history with its own Bill of Rights of making sure that their laws are compliant. So I'm pretty confident that this is a conversation that will happen in Quebec, and it will be happen respectfully. And I certainly.
Right, but is Bill 62 wrong?
I've said all along, I never trust politicians when they start telling women how to dress. That's my personal opinion. But as for the conversation of the need for a secular society, I understand the hard work that went into the quiet revolution to separate the influences of the church. And personally, I can always point to the fact I was excommunicated from my own church in 2005 for my support of same-sex marriage and denounced from the pulpit. And the first group and people who came to my defense at that time was the Francophone community, because they said, we remember the days when the priests used to tell us how to vote. So I understand the importance of the secular society, and the issue of balancing with rights. That's a conversation that I think is very much within the Quebec jurisdiction.
So to be clear on this, you may not agree with it, but you're okay with Quebec. You respect Quebec's jurisdiction to do this.
Well, as a federal member of Parliament, of course I have to respect provincial jurisdiction. It'd be crazy to suggest otherwise. And again, if there's any questions about any law, if it's compliant with the Quebec Bill of Rights, it will be challenged by a Quebec citizen. It's not something that a federal MP has any jurisdiction to do. So to me, it's a conversation. I've been watching the conversation. I've been reading the report of the Bouchard-Taylor Commission, and you know, I think it's a discussion for the people of Quebec.
Okay, let's talk about the numbers here in the couple of minutes we have left. You know, most observers seem to think that one of your rivals, Mr. Singh, Jagmeet Singh, will be on top after the first ballot. Where do you believe he goes from there?
Well, I can't predict what my colleague's going to do. They ran a campaign that was very different than ours. They seem to be very focused on trying to sign up as many new members as possible and bring them into the party. And their strategy seems to be to win on first ballot. Our strategy all along was to win on second or third ballot by building grassroots teams and signing up members in every part of the country. We're pulling our vote with incredible proficiency right now. Things are extremely positive for us on the ground. So we shall see what comes down on first ballot. But my focus has always been to build the grassroots teams, get them organized, pull that vote, and be there for second ballot, and that's where our path to victory lies.
His whole campaign has been about, you know, the need to expand the base and offer a fresh face and a different look to the Democratic Party, rather than looking at some of the people and who may represent the old guard of the NDP. Why do you think he's not the right choice for the party now?
Well, I'm not going to speculate on whether someone else is a good choice or not good choice. I leave that to the membership. For me, it's really important that Mr. Singh is willing to be in the House with us. You don't get to ask for a promotion to be Prime Minister if you haven't been in the House doing the work in the meantime. I was there when Jack Layton didn't have a seat in the House, and at that time I think we may have been the fifth party, and we were 1 year out for an election, and I was on Jack's team because it seemed worth taking the risk. But at this point, we've been 2 years without a leader in the House. People have been saying, where have you guys been? We need to be able to take what we do in the legislature and what we do on the ground and start to move with it. And what I hear from the base and from people who've quit the party, left the party, been interested in the party, is they want to be part of the movement. They don't want to have just a leader-driven campaign. They're tired of the spin. They're tired of the message box. They want a social democratic movement that is democratic at the grassroots, and that's what we've been offering, and it's been feeling really positive. So I'm feeling pretty good going into first ballot, and we shall see where we end up.
All right, we shall see. Charlie Angus, always appreciate your time, and good luck.
Thank you so much, my friend.